Hello, in this video we will discuss yet another topic of verbal reasoning. The name of the topic is critical reasoning application based question. Well, logic is normally asked in aptitude tests. The reason being aptitude tests are not tests of memory, they are tests of your intelligence, and thus questions based on logic are invariably asked in aptitude tests. In many of the aptitude tests, you might find a section of logical reasoning. Well, this topic is also a kind of logical reasoning, although we will do it in VA. The reason being here, language is used to create logic, and thus we will discuss it in verbal reasoning. Let's discuss this topic. Before moving further, let's understand this variety. These questions have three parts. The first one is a small paragraph, the second one a question stem, and the third options or answer choices. So what should be our steps? Well, our first step is we should read the question stem first. Because by reading question stem, you get a hang of question. What kind of question is this? What is being asked? How to approach it? So we should always read question stem first. Let me take an example. Let's say the question is, which of the following options would most weaken the CEO's conclusion? If we have read this question stem first, we know that we have to find CEO's conclusion, and then we have to find an option which will weaken the CEO's conclusion. So while reading the paragraph, our focus will be on to get the CEO's conclusion. This will help us solve the question faster, and thus we should always read question stem first and then we should read the paragraph. So the second step is read the paragraph. While reading the paragraph, try to identify premises, conclusions, facts, arguments. Apart from that, you should also try to grab two more things: assumptions and line of reasoning. Well, you must be wondering, what are these? Don't worry, in the video we will discuss all these terms, and by the end of the video you will be comfortable with these terms. So let's move on. Also, while reading the paragraph, remember two more things. Number one, do not assume anything. That is, whatever is given is given. Do not assume from your side that this is also given. So if author has said flood was there in a village, don't assume that it is also there in neighboring villages. So don't assume anything from your side. If author has said many of them suffered from malaria, so author has said many. He has not said all. So don't assume all people have suffered from malaria. So don't assume anything from your side. That is first. The second thing is, do not generalize. Let's say it is given that a press reporter asked few ministers whom did they vote, and all of them said they voted against the minister. It doesn't mean that all voted against the minister. What the author was saying, to whom press reporter asked. So let's say if he asked to 5 people, then 5 people voted against the minister. It doesn't mean that all of them voted against the minister. So do not generalize. So what did we learn from this? That all is different from many. Every is different from most. Will is different from could or can. So whatever is given is given. Do not assume or do not generalize. Step number next. read the question stem, because the first reading was just to understand what is being asked so that we can read the paragraph accordingly. But this reading is to solve. So carefully read it till the full stop. So read till the full stop. You can also try to pre-phrase the answer. That is, what can be a probable answer to this question. This helps us in eliminating and selecting well. So we can also try to pre-phrase the answer while rereading the question. Next step is understand the options. Well, in many of the cases, people try to match words. They just try to find an option which is matching to whatever is given in the paragraph. It might not work here. It worked in our CBSE, in our MP board exams, but it might not work here. So understand the options. Don't try to match words. And last but not the least is eliminate first and select later. Believe me, elimination simplifies selection. It helps us in selecting well. So always eliminate to select. Eliminate well. Now, what in eliminating well? Number 1, read all the options. Number 2, never close the answer till you have read the last option. Here, patience is very important. Normally, people lack patience, and because of that, they get incorrect answers. Let me take an example. People read option A. They like it. Most of them mark it. They don't read even B, C, D or E. They just mark A because they liked A. They should not be done. Then there are a few who have heard us that we should read all the options. So what they do is they read B. And they found B as to be a very bad option. And actually it was a bad option. So they read C. C was also bad. So what they do is they don't read D or E because they feel answer has come. And that's why they just mark A and they don't read D or E, which should not be done. How should we eliminate? Read A. If you like it, keep it aside. Forget for a while. Read B. If you don't like it, eliminate. Read C. If you don't like it, eliminate. Read D. If you like it, okay, still keep it aside. Read E. If you like E, keep it aside. Now you have A, D and E. Now all the bias has gone. Earlier the selection was like love at first sight. If you liked first option, you just marked first option. But here there is no bias now. You will evaluate these options very logically. And thus, you should read all the options. That's what you should do. Before moving further, let's understand these terms. Let's take the first one, argument. What's an argument? Argument is a logical statement to prove your point and to disprove someone's point. That is an argument. So, when we say it's a logical statement, that is, there is a reason, there are premises on which you are supporting or opposing something. Now, we should differentiate argument from fact set. In case of a fact set, or simply what we can say facts, we just state them, we don't infer or we don't support something from these facts. These facts are stated and just given. For example, in Agra, you can visit many places. Taj Mahal is one among them. Taj Mahal was built by Shah Jahan. Now, these all are facts. These facts are given and nothing is inferred from this. Nothing is supported from them. So, this is a fact set. So, fact set is different from argument. In case of argument, you try to conclude something. You try to convince someone. That's what is argument. And that's how argument is different from a fact set. If you say, I believe all corrupt people should be jailed. This politician is also corrupt. And thus, this politician should be jailed. So what I have done? I am trying to prove my argument, that is, this politician should be jailed from a premise my belief that all corrupt people should be jailed. Let's take next two terms, conclusion and premise. Premise is basis of a conclusion or inference. So on the basis of premise, we conclude something. As we saw in the last example, when I said I believe that all corrupt people should be jailed and this politician is corrupt, so he should be jailed. So there was a conclusion based on a premise that all corrupt people should be jailed. So here from a premise we reach a conclusion. So what is a premise? Premise is either a fact or a proposition or a statement from which we conclude. What's a conclusion? A statement that follows from a reason, and that reason is invariably provided by a premise. That's a conclusion. Words like because, since, for, as indicated by, due to, owing to, furthermore, moreover, in addition, they suggest that there is a premise. And words like thus, therefore, so, hence, consequently, as a result, clearly, shows that, eventually, these words normally represent a conclusion. Keep these words in mind while reading the sentence or paragraph. Let's take an example. In this example, you have to find conclusion and premise. Please try. We cannot live on Mercury because surface temperature is too high. Well, here you use the word because, and because is suggesting the second part, the surface temperature is too high, is premise, and the first portion, we cannot live on Mercury, is our conclusion. Let's try one more. Here the same sentence is represented in form of a conversation. Let's read. X says we can't live on Mercury. Y says really, why? X replies the surface temperature is too high. So what is reply of X is a reason. So that is a premise, and the first one, we cannot live on Mercury, is our conclusion. Let's take one more example. We must reduce our budget due to significant cost overruns we experienced during production. Here they have used the phrase due to. Now due to is premise. So after due to we have premise. So premise is significant cost overruns we experienced during production and we must reduce our budget is our conclusion. Let's take one more example. Now in this example they have used comma very judiciously. If we miss out first comma, it can confuse us. Actually the sentence is, since higher debt has forced consumers to lower their savings, banks now have less money to loan. Therefore banks have less money. So after therefore we have conclusion. This middle part is a different sentence, and therefore and the last part is a different sentence. It's like what we understood in reading comprehension, that these commas at times give addition. For example, Ramesh, comma, a student of CH Makers, comma, went to buy a shirt. So Ramesh went to buy a shirt is our main sentence. A student of CH Makers is addition to it. And that's what is happening here. Therefore banks now have less money to loan is a conclusion, and it is one sentence. And since higher debt has forced consumer to lower their saving, and since this is our premise. So banks now have less money is our conclusion. Let's have one more example. The political situation in Syria is unstable owing to the ability of individual warlords to maintain powerful armed forces. Now it has used owing to also supplies a reason. So the last part is a premise, and the first part, the political situation in Syria is unstable, is our conclusion. And that's how you should segregate conclusions from premises while reading a paragraph. Let's take one more example. So, as indicated by newly released data, we should push forward with our efforts to recolonize the forest. Now, which one is conclusion? Well, you've guessed it, right? The conclusion is we should push forward with our efforts to recolonize the forest. Why? Because as indicated by is as indicated by is used to show a premise. So as indicated by newly released data is a premise, and so we should push forward with our effort to recolonize the forest is our conclusion. Let's have one more example. It says TV has harmful effect on society. This can be seen from poor school performance. Now this can be seen, so this can be justified by this reason, this fact. So this fact is our premise. So premise is this can be seen from poor school performance of children watching a significant amount of TV, and from the fact that, so there is one more premise, because it can be seen by two things. The first thing is this, and there is one more premise. The second premise is children who watch more than 6 hours of TV a day tend to read less than non-TV watching children. This is our second premise. What's our conclusion? The first sentence, that is TV has harmful effect, is our conclusion. Let's have one more example. It says the city council ought to ease restrictions on outdoor advertising because the city's economy. Now after because we have a reason, thus after because we have a premise. So the first premise is the city's economy is currently in a slump. Now there is one more premise with word furthermore. Furthermore, the city should not place restrictions on forms of speech such as advertising. This is our second premise. So these are two premises, and what is the conclusion? The first sentence, that is the city council ought to ease restrictions, is our conclusion here. Now if let's say there is a sentence where these words are not used, then what? Let's try an example. It says the best way of eliminating traffic congestion will not be easily found. There are so many competing possibilities that it will take a lot of resources to study every option, and implementation of most options carries an exorbitant price. Now there are no words like these, so they are not, we don't have indicating words. What should we do? Well, let's put indicating words. So let me say, as the best way of eliminating traffic congestion will not be easily found, therefore there are so many competing possibilities. It doesn't make sense. Well, we cannot use therefore, thus, so with the second portion. The second portion is not conclusion. Second portion has to be premise, because we are not able to use words for conclusion. So what we can do is, if there are no indicators, you can put some indicators, and that can help you identify which one is conclusion and which one is premise. In this case, the first sentence is conclusion and the second one is premise. In most of the cases, a premise leads to a conclusion. But in few of the cases, a premise leads to a conclusion or another premise, and that leads to conclusion. Let's take an example of this. Because the Windies have the best hitters in cricket, they therefore have the best offense in T20. Because they have best offense in T20, they will win the upcoming T20 World Cup. Now, which one is the main conclusion? The last sentence. The first sentence is a premise. The premise says Windies have best hitters, and from that author has taken out a sub-conclusion. What was that sub-conclusion? That they have best offense in T20, and as they have best offense in T20, this conclusion leads to main conclusion, and the main conclusion was they will win the upcoming T20 World Cup, and that's how it goes. Our task is to find this main conclusion, because this is what normally they ask